I'm conscious.
Now what?
What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Yeah. Hold it. What you talking about, doctor?
We are back. I just love that track so much, man. That just the beep, bop, beep, 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 beep. It just does something to me, man. What's going on? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Derek Dunlap with another fresh episode, right? We're back. We're back, right? Couple hurdles, but we're back. And we're just so happy to be here. I had a fantastic, yesterday. Me and the wife were just sitting by the water. Perfect weather here in Michigan, 70 degrees. I just let everything go and sat by that water with my wife. We cuddled and dreamed and just let go of every low vibrating thought and circumstance in our life. And we had a great night after that. We got somebody here with us, man, who is just brightening up the whole station right now, dude. I can feel your energy way over here, man. From across the pond, my brother from another mother, Ryan JC is back with us. Dude, what's been going on, man?
What's up, man? I've just been moving. Yeah, it's cool that you guys are patient. Those of you in the chat. And everyone else who's been watching, thanks you 27 people who hopped onto this channel. But yeah, I made another manifestation. It's a pretty big one. So you can see, I'm in my own place. But I won't show you guys what it looks like until I've redecorated to the way I want it. Because I change things in my environment the same way people set up crystal grids. Only I use furniture and color and certain shapes. So once it's all done, then I'll show you what it looks like. Otherwise, you're just going to see me under my stairs right now. Yeah. But that's what I've been up to. I've just been moving. And this area is amazing. All of the people here are really happy. Like, they look at you and they have to say hello or start a conversation. They're very high vibrational beings, I suppose, but they're like happy humans, which is really cool. So my stress level has disappeared. It's dissipated. You know, once I moved into this environment, I didn't realize the amount of stress I was under when I was in the other place. And in the other place, I thought I was fine, like 100% fine. But I wasn't until I moved here. You know, the noise pollution is gone. It's dead silent. I can meditate in peace. I can create whatever I want. I've got full creative freedom here. Like anything, nothing's in the way. And yeah, the energy in this entire, another thing, the astral realm in this building is clear. There's nothing here. There are no entities. There are no creatures. There is nothing. I think the house is like blessed because druids used to live here. And those of you who know what druids are, they're basically a separate faction from witches, a separate group, which basically took their level of knowledge into a different direction. But druids used to live here. So I don't know what they did to the place, but it's pretty awesome. And that's pretty much it, really. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that freaking energy, man. I'm over here shaking, man. What the hell? Dude, it's like almost night and day. And like you were saying, you thought in the other, you know, when you live with your family in the house and up in the room and you had this vibration that was, it seemed pretty high, man. But I don't know. Type in the chat if Ryan just seems like he's glowing even brighter right now since the move. Is his vibration higher or the same? Or type in the chat if you're feeling this new vibration, this new version of Ryan Cropper in the chat right now. Let us know what's going on. And don't forget, we need you guys' support. This is our platform. This is not my platform. This is not just Ryan's platform. We had to make some drastic changes to get this live stream to you. Hit the thumbs up button or the like button and share this live broadcast on your social media. From you sharing, we can bring new people to the platform, which can bring new energy. And Ryan, I was sharing with you earlier today that great conversation we had earlier. And I just like to share our insight, because I know there's a lot of people that go through some of the similar things that I go through. Now, just in my background, I'm used to speaking. I was telling you earlier, I'm used to speaking in my prior business engagements. I've been on stages. I got a background in music where I used to DJ and had to get the crowd going. But I was telling you earlier that for some reason, when I do this broadcast, this live broadcast with the handful of souls that we have here, I'm more nervous than when it was thousands of people in the audience when I used to DJ and speak to one-on-one people. And I just thought it was amazing. And I just want you to share the difference between how you broke it down. It's the difference between speaking to ego and speaking to souls. Could you touch on that just a little bit of what you shared with me?
Yeah. When you're doing the work, or in other words, the life purpose, the ego chimes in and tries to tell you to do things which have worked within the past in other people's lives. So your ego would say, if you're doing something unnatural to the ego or to what mainstream society usually does, then your ego is going to chime in and say, stop doing what you're doing, because that's not going to work. Even though it has no idea if it's going to work or not, it's just leaning on what it knows will most definitely work. Problem is if you're going by the ego, then you're going to be changed as a character by your ego. So because the ego has knowledge from society, that ego will behave like everyone else in society. So if that ego is trying to get you to conform to an ideal or a set of ideals and beliefs that you have to do something a certain way, then you basically as a character change into everyone else. It's only when you start doing the work, so you start being yourself and you stop listening to everyone outside of you, then you'll start getting, I guess, their stain, because your subconscious mind takes everyone else's information and stores it anyway. So after you've stopped listening to everyone else, now you've got to fight with your ego, which is also on the side of everyone else. But all you've got to do is you've got to make your subconscious mind agree that, or at least have it acknowledge the fact that what you're doing now is actually working. Because when you have an original thought, that inner knowing that makes you feel happy, that knows that whenever you do something, it's going to work, even though despite the fact you've never seen it happen before in somebody else's life, once the ego realizes that that's enough, that what that part of you is bringing forth to the table is actually supporting you in life and everything else, then the ego will shut up, because the ego sees that there's no point in trying to get you to do something else, because it sees that what you're doing is actually working, you know? And then you can go on and do some meditations where you actually merge this part of your, or integrate this part of your egoic mind and completely, I guess, expunge and erase every thought. In other words, your ego, this part of you, will detach from mainstream logic. So now the ego won't listen to society at all. It'll be more on your side. Yeah. And then when it becomes more on your side, you can merge. And then you basically become an internal of sound mind being, where everything you do is from your center, and you're literally just spitting out all of this, I guess, action, which stems from thought, which is your own original thought, which then creates your reality. So that's just something pretty cool. But it takes a while. And before you get to that point where you're fully integrated, it's a fight. You have to fight your ego. You have to try and trick it, more or less. You know, try and show it the evidence that you can do something a certain way so that it doesn't pester you anymore. And the ego will find many excuses as to why you shouldn't do the things that you're being called to do. You know, that inner knowing that you know is just right. But as long as you can discredit what he's saying or it's saying, and then bring something to the forefront that you know will work, and then just create that experience for that part of you to draw from, then it will use that experience that you've just created in the now to support the fact that, you know, your original thought is working. That's pretty much it with that, I suppose.
That's deep. That's deep. So basically, in a nutshell, you're saying the butterflies that I would experience with just a small group of us coming together with I'm conscious now. What is, you said something about that's how you know when you're doing your life purpose, or you be, did I miss something? You know, where the butterflies, the nervousness of, let's just say 100 people watching a live stream, right? Because I never get nervous speaking. I love to talk. My wife says, you talk all day. But you said something about, and it really hit me in the core. When you're doing your life purpose, it's just something about, that's where the nervous energy comes from sometimes, or did I read that wrong? Or is the nervous energy still me battling with ego and doing purpose?
It's just you battling ego.
Ego.
Being less sure of yourself. That's all it is.
The ego saying, hey, you should be doing something else to, you know, rake in thousands and thousands of dollars. But then that still voice says, no, go to the I'm conscious now what community. And I get it, man. I get it. I get it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got such a packed show today. We got so much information that we want to get out to you, ladies and gentlemen, that are driven, that are drawn to this vibration, this movement that we're doing. The topic today, much needed. And I tell you this, the reason why I chose today's topic is to give some of you more foundation of what we're going to be talking about. We've been giving you insider reports. We've been giving you what's going on in the news, and we're going to still give you that, right? Sort of things that you're used to doing in your own home, looking at the news and watching videos of things being leaked. But it's still kind of hard to understand the depths of the frequencies and vibrations that we're going to try to get you to elevate to. It's kind of tough if you don't understand the foundation, right? These 7 principles of the natural universal law, okay? Because if you were like me, I grew up in a Christian family, and my law was the 10 Commandments, which now I know was man-made laws that kind of put a lot of fear in me, to fear the Lord, and a lot of different things. If I make a mistake, or if I go out of these certain laws, I'm going to hell and burning forever. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of things that we talk about, you'll get a more in-depth understanding that, aha, I get it. When you just understand these 7, it's really 8. I found 8, but these 7 natural universal laws that every being must look at and adhere to. Everything in existence, all consciousness. There's no way around this. Well, kind of, sort of no way around this. But before we get into that, let's jump over to the chat real fast. I always like to acknowledge the people who took the time to show up and join us. We got Zion in the chat. Just to let you know, we appreciate you. We got Jamal Adams. So if you're watching, we got 38 people watching. If you don't type anything in the chat, we don't know you're here. We got Green Lie in the chat. Welcome. Thank you. We love you. We got African 2102 in the chat. Thank you for showing up. We got Angry Flan in the chat. Thank you for joining us. We got Christian Gross. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We got Georgia Petru. Antonio is in the chat. We got Green Shiz. Got it right this time, my brother, in the chat. We got Skeptical Mind in the chat. Sometimes it's a cold world in the chat. We got Jake in the chat. Davey in the chat. Wow. Revamp is in the chat. We got Dakota joining us today. We got Ugly Casanova joining us today. Thank you. We got some hearts coming. We got Taisha. I might be butchering that. Taisha joining us. Chris Garner is in the chat. We got Pia in the chat. We got a lot of people. Matt Davis is in the chat. Oscar. Wow. What's up, Oscar, in the chat? Just got a full house today. Now I'm going to be giving you more insider before we jump into our topic, because our topic is very, very in-depth, and it's just a blessing to have my brother, Mr. Cropper, here to even add more of what I have in store for you guys today. We're going to be doing this is going to be more like a one-on-one, I won't call it a group study, but we're going to dive into these 7 laws so you, ladies and gentlemen, can start applying these laws and applying what we're going to share with you today. It'll be the foundation of where you go if you could just feel the information that I'm going to give you guys today. Now I just feel like it's time to really dig in and just start disclosing this new way of mind, this new way of consciousness, because it's hard to understand consciousness if you don't understand the principles of the natural law. All right, so our insider report today is from Christian Gross, someone that's in the chat right now. And I just want to share something with you guys on this insider report. It was just, I listened to it, it's right on time, and it's a message, especially if you are super grounded in the root chakra. You want to know what's going on in 3D. If there's still a little fear there, like I said on a previous show, if you can't center and elevate your consciousness to 4th and 5th density to get away sometimes and stay there for long periods of time, then this information is going to be very, very enlightening. So we're going to jump into the insider report real fast. And today I won't share the screen. I learned, but this is a lot different from what got us in the doghouse before. But yeah, just turn off everything right now. This is AT. This is artificial intelligence that is translating this information, and I'll try to get this audio to you as clear as possible. And we're going to be opening up the phones right after this. Okay, that number is 734-230-2744. So let's jump right now into the insider report to catch you, ladies and gentlemen, up of what's going on around us.
Background to the event, or history of the event. Earth and the inhabitants have been in a type of imprisonment and planetary quarantine since the times of Atlantis. At that time, the planet was secretly invaded as a hostile force manipulated the planet into an advanced forms of warfare that almost destroyed the planet. The light forces withdrew from the battle in order to save the planet from becoming another asteroid belt. They promised to return to achieve victory and to liberate the peoples of Earth from the hostile force. It does sound like a fantasy, but it is not. We do not want to go into great detail on this subject, but the fact remains we of Earth are not alone. We never have been alone, and we never will be alone. This universe is teeming with intelligent, sentient life. Furthermore, our planet has been experiencing ongoing interactions with ET races since time immemorial. This must be understood to truly grasp what is taking place at this time on our planet. Without going into metaphysical details that are unimportant to the event, we must realize that life is sacred and a beautiful gift that must be respected. Unfortunately, some beings have not been able to manifest this realization, and they have been the cause for much of the universal discord, fear, anxiety, and destruction on our world. The world's societies and political and financial structures that have been corrupted by forces of greed, lust for power, hostile intent, and malicious manipulation are being orchestrated by very sophisticated beings, principalities, and powers. Most of these forces are unknown and unseen by the world at large. They are so far advanced technologically, and they have hidden themselves so well that understanding what has been the real situation is nearly impossible for the average individual to discern. We have been easily manipulated, and the nature of the dastardly plans includes genocide and destruction of life upon our world. Imagine someone with a master's degree in child psychology manipulating an innocent child of 4, and you will have some idea of the cunning nature of these selfish individuals. These reprehensible beings have exercised their will against the very fabric of light and life for long enough. Now, they need to be arrested and stopped. The center of creation itself has decreed that they must be removed from positions of influence to receive healing and to understand the deep consequences of their actions so that the suffering of life on our world can come to an end. Just as we have criminals who make hostile takeovers on turf wars on Earth, the same thing has happened on a planetary level throughout the history of our galaxy. Our planet was involved in an invasion many thousands of years ago. The result has been ongoing genetic manipulation, implantation technologies, and mind control via a very sophisticated technology of which we have been unaware. We have been controlled and manipulated by what some call the dark side. Most people have relegated these advanced manipulations that are the cause of myth and many of the more convoluted histories to fantasy. There are different levels to this hostile force, but on Earth their agents could be called the Cabal. We have always been responsible for our actions, but the influence to distort our consciousness has been a formidable foe. In fact, this negative mental virus dominates most of the world. We are now at the crossroads, and an end must come to this tyranny and the attempt to enslave our planet. To make things simple, we will not designate the Cabal as ET or human. They are simply selfish criminals guilty of crimes against humanity. This site has provided numerous links to other sources to provide ample evidence for these indictments of genocide, genetic manipulation, murder, theft, racketeering, treason, mind control, genocide, genetic altering, poisoning of water, air, food, to name a few. The list is too long and too depressing to detail here, but we have links. This will come as a shock to many, but there are members of the world's military and intelligence agencies that have been involved in ongoing interactions with ET races for over 60 years. These ET interactions are not limited to governmental agencies. In fact, the open-minded elite intelligentsia of the world's science technological vocations have been physically contacted or communicated with as well. Many of these interactions have been very benevolent, positive, and even highly spiritual in nature. There are many members of regular civilian population and society who also have been having informational exchanges of varying degrees with our brothers and sisters or space family. Unfortunately, not all contacts have been of a positive nature, and this has led to much confusion. This confusion must end. To ensure the planetary liberation process, the benevolent forces of ET races have been making plans with various elite corps of Earth-based military and law enforcement personnel to ensure the joint action of arrest of these criminal conspirators. These plans are quite detailed, and they have made every allowance for every contingency to ensure non-violent arrests and total victory. The plan of action has been to amass enough evidence to arrest these criminals. The evidence has been in hand for decades, but these criminals are in control of the world's media and military forces, as well as the financial institutions and many other key aspects of our societal structure as well. These individuals and their secret societies are deeply involved in the politics and literally control the world's view by manipulation. The arrests of these individuals has been a long, slow, and
Let's suppose that you're writing a really important email to a colleague.
Forgive the ad.
The arrests of these individuals has been a long, slow, and arduous task, and the world's peoples owe a great debt to the brave individuals who have had to remain hidden to see that justice is restored to our planet. There are very wise beings and spiritual forces who have been promising for a very long time that the curtain will come down on the travesty which is the tyrannical exploitation of an entire planet and all of its life streams. This promise is soon to be realized, as ET races will soon coordinate the plan for the liberation of our world. The Agarthan network, the RM, and the Earth-based ground crew populace will also be very involved in these physical arrests. Unbeknownst to many, there have been major battles inside the Earth's crust caverns and in outer space as well. This has been kept secret for various reasons, and both sides have their reasons for keeping this under wraps. The time for secrecy is over, and the truth must be revealed. There are advanced technologies which can influence and control human emotions and feelings in a powerful way. These have been and are being used against the average unaware human to his detriment. We Earth humans as it now stands are not capable of overcoming these technologies at our current level of development, and therefore we are being aided by benevolent forces who can match and neutralize these advanced technologies all at once. Before the actual arrests can take place, various elements of the electronic fence and implant matrix which manipulates the human consciousness field must be brought down. This aspect of the preparations is currently in progress and must be completed before the final enforcement actions are enacted. This will take time, and no man or angel knows the hour it will happen when it happens, and most likely will come like a thief in the night. We have prepared for change, have great faith that what is known as the compression breakthrough will occur in the not too distant future. However, patience is key to remaining stable as we prepare to be of service to our fellow man who for the most part will have no idea exactly what is taking place. This general apathy and drowsy malaise which is firmly embedded in the human population is now being dispelled by awake and aware individuals who are stepping into their truth and declaring their support for the light forces. This is the purpose of this website, to awaken people to the imminent changes so they are not caught unaware. The more people who know what is transpiring and are active in supporting the event in a peaceful way, the better off the planet will be. The smoother the transition, the quicker we can partake in greater revelations. One of the main plans for the event to be successful is to disable the central banking system, which is the root of the manipulation and control system on planet Earth. There have been tests in this vital aspect of the event's implementation and they have been successful. It is unfortunate but necessary that the world's population will be somewhat disrupted by the closing of the world's banking system, but this is necessary to cripple the criminals to ensure they cannot continue to wreak havoc at the time of the event. The ET forces have very advanced technologies and they will act as the eyes and ears for the world's police forces during the actual arrests. This will ensure a minimal amount of violence takes place and ensure the safety of the police forces. All in all, thousands of years of preparation have been involved in making the way for this planetary liberation process, and it is important that you who read these words know and respect the wisdom behind the patience to ensure our success. The delays are necessary as this is a fluid model of interaction and the human element comes into play. Rest assured, all haste is being made to end the suffering artificially created on our planet. Research the links here on this website if you doubt the criminal activity. Research the mountains of evidence of extraterrestrial life. Do not look for evidence in your mafia-controlled mainstream media, as this is controlled by the puppet masters and is designed to confuse and mislead you. Make no mistakes where you stand. We cannot serve ignorance, superstition, and fear any longer. The whole truth is here and it is setting us free, but we must take its hand. The event is a righteous and just cause and will take place as planned. Please be prepared and think about the information we have shared here and see if there are any other suggestions you might have to prepare for this momentous period. What can you do before the event? We are about to enjoy both a non-violent liberation of the planet along with a bright and beautiful future for all of humanity. Since we do not know the exact day, month, or year of the event, it would be wise to follow a few simple rules of precaution. Keep an extra 2 weeks of food and water on hand starting now. Make sure you and your loved ones have an up-to-date supply of any medicines that might be required. Keep extra cash hidden away at your home. Gas up your vehicle when the tank is 1/2 empty. Stay in touch with this website for updates. Educate yourself, friends and family members. Get together in groups each Sunday and do the planetary liberation meditation and focus on bringing in the divine goddess energy. Info on 2012portal.blogspot.com. Be sure to remain calm and centered and to encourage others to do the same. They will be looking for answers and you will be able to help them, so study and prepare yourself to be of service. What is the event? The event will be a moment of breakthrough for the planet, which will be physical and non-physical planes. On the non-physical plane, there will be a big wave or flash of divine energy and light coming from the galactic central sun, which is called Elohim in the Pleiadian language, going towards the surface of the planet. It will be a flash or special kind of light from the sun that permeates the earth and humanity. It will calm humanity in the light of love, energy, and end-duality. It's a magnificent energy not seen or felt before on Earth. Everyone on Earth will feel and know something has happened. It will be a surprise as to when it will happen, even for us. It's never happened before. It may be a major shock to some, but for those who are aware of the event, it will be recognized as positive change whose time has come. This divine flash will trigger spiritual forces, extraterrestrials, Agarthan network peoples, and the Planet X and Earth-based resistance movement to begin to put long-awaited plans into action. These plans are the enforcement of what is known as the Galactic Codex. Galactic Codex. Motherships will move into the Earth's atmosphere invisibly to raise the vibrations of the Earth's atmosphere and to help the populace acclimatize their consciousness fields as the electronic fence matrix is brought down once and for all time. They will not reveal or announce themselves publicly for quite some time, although there will be increased physical sightings to prepare the world to accept their presence. On the physical plane, there will be the Earth's military and police forces will move into action to ensure there is no rioting and to safeguard vital infrastructure from false flag cabal attacks designed to create panic and fear-based reactions. The arrest of the cabal members who have led the way will be the most significant part of the event. The reset of the financial systems. The entire central banking system and all banks' computers will be shut down and will not be able to be bought online, so all banks will close until further notice. The main media stations will be taken over by civil authorities who will remove censors and cabal-based programs and agendas. Disclosure. The release of secret documents and events including ET information will begin sometime after the actual event. Many of the world mysteries will be revealed. Who killed Kennedy? CIA drug dealing. The forces behind all the world wars. Ongoing depopulation agendas. HARP. Vaccinations. Secret space program. Mind control. Financial crimes and many things that will shock many people. The beginning of a new fair financial system with prosperity funds and worldwide trusts for healing the planet will eventually be implemented. New government, political system, education system, healthcare system, history lessons, etc. Awakening of humanity slowly and gradually to the existence of positive non-terrestrial races and our galactic connections. Introduction of new advanced technology. The techniques for spiritual growth will be shared as we learn who we are, where we come from. We will discern our unique purpose and our life's path will reveal itself to us individually. There will be artifacts brought forward from ancient repositories revealing the truth of man interaction with ETs in our recent history. We will understand our cosmic heritage. Ancient sites will unearth spaceships from our past and we will have physical proof of ancient technologies. There will be a host of advanced healing technologies released which have been suppressed to keep the cabal rich and you in suffering. Eventually, the present medical system will alter radically in the light of more advanced forms of treatment. Free energy devices will be available for your home and car and an end to fossil fuels and other toxic technologies.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason why I like to play this information, just for your information, this information was published on November 11th, 2015. Okay. And I played it today. It's about 20 minutes long. I put the link in the chat box for those of you who want to listen to this on your own time. We got so much to cover. I don't want to play the whole 20 minutes. But the reason why I play this insider information is not to put fear out there. Okay. That's not why I play these. I play these so you can be aware of what's going on around you. And that's why we decided to talk about these natural laws so you can understand how we got in the position where we are as a civilization in 2016, right? So some of the things, if you notice that this artificial intelligence was talking about has already happened, you see? And that's why I chose this as the insider report today, because a lot of what you just heard has already started to trickle. What about the aliens coming out, right? About the things that I shared last, a lot of this is coming out. So everything is right on time. Okay. So I don't want anybody, I feel responsible for souls. That's why I volunteered to be right here, right at this time, right in this present moment to be doing this podcast, to give all of the information that I have access to. And I just want to thank Christian Gross. Again, this was very, very detailed. I thank you for sharing this with me. Ryan, I know that you vibrate and you can go in and out of different densities, 3rd density, 4th, 5th, and 6th density. So this type of information, and this is mind-boggling for me when I talk to you about these certain things behind closed doors. Ryan, you are able to raise your consciousness above 3 density to where you create these parallel timelines where none of this stuff that we're talking about right now is even going on in that timeline. Could you just share a little bit about that before we get into our main topic of how you're able to, a lot of this you're not even aware that it's going on?
Certain timelines exist. A lot of what's being said really doesn't matter. Like the entire time when Derek was playing that video, I was on my phone checking out Tesco, and I actually registered for Tesco home delivery whilst you were saying it, whilst I was listening at the same time. But I have like this filter consciously, which just switches off from a lot of stuff, because I understand that when you feed into the scarcism of certain reality templates, be that the information that, or the belief system underneath that reality that literally creates that reality itself, you do actually go into the direction of that reality. You know, you hear a lot of stuff about certain things, and I could feel the vibration coming from, even though that was a robot speaking the writing, I was able to channel and feel all of this stuff, all of these, I guess, streams of consciousness. I was able to tap into the Akasha and feel how people would respond to that emotionally, including the people in the chat. So I know how everyone on this planet responds to that information, and I know exactly how that could easily put somebody else in another parallel world where that stuff happens. But the one I'm in, and the one the majority of us are actually in, that won't happen. Matter of fact, like Derek said, most of that stuff, some of it's happened, or at least we've gone through a timeline where we've had to bear witness to what could happen and what just hasn't happened at all. And that's simply because destiny is not set in stone. Our thoughts change throughout time, and so does the events that play out within our experience. You know, the better our consciousness gets throughout time, the less of these things will happen, obviously, because less people are creating, or at least bringing those things into our timeline. Because everything, no one's creating, so let's just reiterate, everything already exists. We're just pulling from one timeline into another, okay? So the less people focus on the things they don't want, the less that those things will show up, you know? And in meditations and certain states of awareness, I can completely, depending on the amount, because right now I'm drip feeding. So every time I'm listening to somebody, or I'm looking at a face, or I'm picking up on someone's energy, I'm drip feeding their energy in and through me, so I'm able to tap into everything. But I can also just completely like break that dam and leave the body and go to another reality where nobody knows anything about the Illuminati, you know, or things like that. There are actually two forms of Illuminati, one that completely isn't real, and one that kind of is, you know. And again, that deals with two separate timelines. There are so many ways of looking at this. And you know, what was funny, after I realized this when I was like 13, like really young. And not too long ago, about 2 years ago, or was it this? No, I think it was 2 years ago. I watched a movie called, come on, what is it? Oh, it was right there, Tomorrowland. I watched Tomorrowland. Those of you who've seen it, check it out in the chat. Tomorrowland is basically based off of that principle. Obviously, a bunch of people who know this information, like myself, who are able to channel into this kind of thing, write it down into books, what people call fiction, right? And then screenwriters pick up those books, so they make movies out of them. And what you're seeing in that movie, Tomorrowland, is somebody who's able to walk into the fourth dimension, where they've actually built this machine that they get all of their energy from. But if you're thinking a certain way around that machine, it literally creates reality. And a bunch of people on Earth in 3D were being scared of like the end days. And this thing in the fourth dimension was creating the circumstance in the third dimension. It was literally shifting people from one parallel Earth to another. You know, this thing. Now, I'm sat there watching this thinking, what the, this is on TV? And like my mum is watching it thinking, oh, this is a good fairy tale. And I'm like, what no, this is real. This is real stuff. But yeah, I mean, really, you have 100%, I guess, you are 100% responsible for where you end up in life, anywhere, no matter what dimension, 100%. The difficulty there is most people can't make up their darn mind. They can't make up their mind. Do they want to fully believe in something, or do they want to kind of believe in it? If you're kind of believing in it, it's still going to show up mainly, probably, most likely. You know, you have to completely make up your mind in order to end up in another reality. And again, everyone's subconscious mind is detached from their main point of thought. So you've got all these different pieces of you that are fractured inside of your being, which believe in so many different things, and you're just jumping through different timelines already, all the time. If you send my video on how time and space actually works, then you'll understand what's going on. But yeah, I mean, you have full control. If you don't like the scarcity, you don't have to buy into it if you don't want to experience it. It's really that simple.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Got a little echo there. 100% of what is that coming from? Now it's gone. Cool. Okay. I agree 100%. And that's, you know, in my journey, everything that I'm experiencing right now is from what my thoughts, what I take in, what I allow into my consciousness. And I'll be the first. You guys know how I am to admit I'm on some of these timelines where this stuff is going on. And that's why it's just so enlightening for me to talk to other conscious beings that, and you could tell I'm to the point now where I can talk to somebody and I can look into their eyes and feel that energy. And I can tell they have no idea of some of the things that I talk about as far as, you know, in the United States where we are, Ryan's across the pond. He probably has no idea about the circus show that's going on with our Democrats and Republicans. Now, that just verifies the levels of consciousness and awareness and the different timelines that people exist on. Whatever you believe, whatever you partake in, and we're going to get into this on these 7 natural laws. This is why this is so important. And I'm learning this as we speak. I'm embedding these 7 natural laws. My goal, my desire and my will is just to live within those 7 natural laws. And I'm still in the process of just deactivating stuff that's been in my mind for 40 plus years. Okay. And that's why I play a lot of things that I play. I talk about a lot of things that I talk about on the show. And it's for me. You know what I mean? It's for me. I still have an interest in this kebab, you know, which Ryan cares less about, you know. I still have an interest in them coming down. I still have an interest because I'm still tied into 3D right now, being here for 40 years of this free energy. I still have an interest in these things, and that's why they do. You're absolutely right, Crop. They do appear on our timeline. Hey, we're going to take this time to open up the phone calls, the phone line 734-230-2744 before we get into our meat and potatoes, the topic. Give us a call and let us know what timeline are you on right now. On your timeline, are you experiencing World War IV? World War III? Are you experiencing some of the things that I'm experiencing? Are you one of those higher vibrating beings that all of this is new? It doesn't exist on the timeline or the parallel universe that you exist in. The phones are open 734-230-2744. It's been a while since we had you guys on the phone line, so I'm very excited to hear and feel some of that energy. So Crop, you know I like picking your brain. I like bouncing stuff off of you, man, and just grabbing the particles. In your timeline right now, I like jumping on your timeline and just seeing where you are. Besides the manifestations, where are you sitting in as far as vibrations right now? What are you feeling right now in this time that in this illusion of time, right? In consciousness, where are you, brother? Talk to us. Enlighten us today.
It's funny you mentioned that. I still do, but I went through a phase where I watched a lot of anime, right? And
To accept,
Japanese,
press 1. To send a 2.
the Japanese who
To accept, press
illustrate
1.
this
To send a
they're a very good way of illustrating the gods, and especially their mindsets. If you've ever taken shrooms, truffles, right, where you have that feeling of eternity, that I would consider a godlike mindset. Because you
Hold the line, caller. Hold the line 1 minute, caller. Go ahead, Crop.
You don't feel in this reality. You're completely separate from any timeline, pretty much, and you're just observing so many things, so much information at the same time. And that would be the closest to anyone understanding how I feel on a daily basis. I'm completely detached from pretty much all timelines, except for the one that I'm choosing to be on. So it's like you're constantly standing, I guess, on one path, on one leg, and you have the choice to jump to another one if you want, if you don't want to experience the next thing that you can see happening, because you're fifth dimension. No, you're not just fifth, you're all of the dimensional states of being. So you can become or shift into a fifth dimensional density psychologically and third eye wise, and see where you could end up a couple of seconds from now, a couple of days, a couple of months, a couple of weeks. You can even collapse that time frame to make it seem as if you've just appeared there, you've just arrived, which I've done with this manifestation of me moving out. It feels like just yesterday I was in my old place, and I've done with my book, and I did with the Bahamas. But when you're that freely mobile, you're not really tied into a timeline. You're more of I guess it kind of feels like you're everywhere on every timeline at the same time. For example, yesterday I was in a call with somebody, and while she was telling me a story, I was also existing within another timeline where I didn't move out, but she still told me that same story 3 days before. So I'm bouncing back between two timelines, and I'm able to anticipate and know what she's going to say before she says it on the phone. And it feels like deja vu. I'm literally seeing frame by frame, moment by moment, in 3 days in the past, in another timeline, her saying the same thing she's saying right now. You know, and that happened yesterday. So if you think about it, imagine if you can do that the opposite way. Imagine if you could see yourself somewhere else, like on a beach, having a similar conversation with a similar person. And then you shrink your perception of time, you jump to that timeline, and now you're on the phone. You know, and it's more, I guess, magical when you do it the way I just told you, not with the beach, but with the old timeline where 3 days ago I'm at my place and I hadn't moved, and I'm able to recall what she's about to say here on this timeline, like a deja vu moment, because then it gets kind of strange. But I guess I've got free will, literally free will. A lot of people are under the illusion that they've got free will, like a lot, whereas their decision making is actually heavily swayed by the majority of the public, and by their egos, and by their star signs, and by a lot of things, you know. So I'm a fully realized, free-willed being who can experience whatever I wish. It all deals with vibration, and even if I want to experience something with a lower vibration, I can just dip down and change my vibration. There's really, and I have no judgment between them either. So I'm completely unjudgmental also. Whatever I want to experience, no matter what it is, I can just shift to, experience, and shift into another vibration. It's really strange, but I think this is where everybody should be like literally. This is your highest potential. This is like, and I'm kind of a little bit of a, I guess, a geek, right? Is it a geek? Somebody who knows a lot about something. Usually something related to like cartoons. In cartoons, they do the same thing. There's a specific, like a story arc around specific anime cartoons where the main character is always trying to reach their highest potential. And that's why I gravitate towards certain things. You know, Dragon Ball Z is one of them. Always trying to reach Goku, always trying to reach his highest potential. There are other ones also, Bleach, you know, Naruto, dealing with chakras and stuff like that. And like I said, everything which is real was written down, and then somebody took that and put it into an illustration, like a cartoon, or made it into a film. You know, and people who are unconscious or who are unaware of that will look at me and then judge me, think of me of something that they already know. You know, children watch cartoons, so you must be like a child, right? And then I'm sitting there thinking, wow, you've just missed one of the most easiest ways of gaining knowledge about where you're going to be in the future and where everyone else is supposed to be now, because of that one perception, you know. And all it takes is somebody to say, okay, cool, you're different. And that's another thing I want to say before you speak, Derek. Then it just flew straight out of my head, and it was something so important too. Maybe I'll remember. Dang it, that's annoying. I feel like someone just turned it off. I figured it out a while ago, and it was really important dealing with people. But it's like I don't even feel the need to say it internally, so it's not coming out. Oh well.
Okay, well, cool. We're gonna take the time to open up the phone line again. I'm sorry, young lady. You called in right at the time when Cropper was talking. I didn't want to interrupt him. So the phone lines are open right now. Before we get into our main topic, do some screen sharing and just doing some sharing, some enlightenment. Give us a call, 734-230-2744. Ryan, you want to run over to the chat real fast while we're waiting on the calls to come in? See what's going on over in the chat?
Yeah, sure. Someone said, seriously, Ryan, what has said is suddenly making sense. They're talking amongst themselves. We got no. Is there any questions?
It's
Any
a delay.
suggestions? Not really.
Yeah, they'll come in. It's almost a 60-second delay from where we're talking now. You'll see the chatter turn. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions via. We stress the phone. Call in now on the phone. That's why we have the phone lines open. Here we go. I love you. I love you. I love you.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press.
Okay, you are live on I'm Conscious Now What with Derek and Ryan. Please state your name and your city.
Hello, I am Saja and I'm from Memphis,
Welcome.
Tennessee.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in. We miss hearing the energy. Tell us what's on your mind, Sasha. What timeline are you on right now? Are you experiencing the things, the craze that's going on in the physical three-dimensional realm right now? Are you experiencing that, or are you on a different timeline somewhere in paradise doing your own thing?
Well, I just kind of started this meditation and stuff, but I think I do want to be on a timeline where aliens come down and introduce themselves and stuff, since I've always been interested in that kind of extraterrestrial things. But I think right now I'm just doing my own thing in my own timeline.
You care to share? What are you doing? Do you care to share? Do you care to be more detailed? What are you doing? What are you experiencing now? What kind of energy is coming in and out of you?
Well, right now I'm just studying and getting my life on like roll, I guess you could say. So.
Okay. Okay. Any questions you want to ask myself or Mr. Cropper while you're on the phone?
It'd be the alien one, right?
Yes. I had this experience and I don't know what it was. So, I went to sleep and then I woke up about like 2 hours later and I tried to go back to sleep, and when I did, this like tingly feeling started up in my head and like shot down, you know, to my feet, and I was so startled and scared, and I didn't know what to do. It was just like a really weird feeling that I've never felt before, and I was just wondering what that could have been. And also, when I tried to go back to sleep again, it would kind of start, but I would open my eyes and it just stopped.
Crop?
It's energy. You know, it's energy. You know, when you get into altered states, especially at night, you'll experience, or your body will experience energy predicated upon what you've been doing beforehand. Can you hear me?
Young lady, can you hear Ryan talking or no?
Oh, I can't.
You can't. Okay. Let me see what's going on, Ryan. Maybe this is on my end. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if I can bring. So Ryan, you should be coming through. Yeah. You're coming through on my end. I guess it's kind of hard for her to hear from her connection. She should be able to hear you.
Can you hear me at all?
Talk now, Ryan.
Can you hear me now?
No, she can't hear you. Let me see. And the reason being, Ryan, because I can only hear you in my headphones.
Ah.
Let me see what's going on here. Okay, talk to me now, Crop.
Can you hear me now?
Keep going, I'll tell you.
I'm just writing something down in the chat real quick.
Yeah, I can hear you. You definitely got audio, but are you coming through? Caller, can you hear Ryan right now?
No,
Yeah.
I can't. I can only hear you here. I can't
Okay.
hear Ryan.
Okay. Okay. Well, I apologize, Ryan. You are, for some reason, your audio is not coming through mine. Your audio is not coming through my audio, so the caller can hear you. Okay. Well, I'm real sorry about that, young lady. But what he said was it was just energy. You were feeling your energy, that energy that went from your head down to your feet. It was just energy that you were experiencing. And it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just energy. You were conscious of this energy that you were experiencing. And when you opened up your eyes, it kind of like, to give you an example, it kind of like broke the connection. You know, you were conscious of that energy. You were focusing on that energy that you were feeling going from your crown down to your feet. That was the flow of your energy. And that's really a great time to, you know, project, to actually leave the body, is when you get that energy moving, enough of that energy to raise that vibration where you can go from, you know, physical into the non-physical realm. So that's a great sign. Nothing to freak out about. You know, we're in the times now where we're gonna start experiencing all kinds of energy, difference. The cosmos is opening up. We're getting all different kind of energies that's flowing through us, and consciousness is being raised. These are the times, right? That's why you're on this call now. That's why you're calling in. Something intrigued you to join this movement. So don't fear. And I know that's easy for me to say. When I first started, I was just like you. What the hell is going on? But that's a normal thing, okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling in. I'm sorry you couldn't hear Ryan usually. But we'll get that figured out. Thanks for calling, and we love you, okay?
Okay, love you too.
All righty. That's weird, Crop. Your audio's not coming through my system, but I can hear you fine.
Strange.
I hear you live.
Got this this live stream short because we normally do 2 hours. I'm gonna have to do something.
To accept, press 1. To
Okay.
send a voicemail, press 2.
We can always do a part 2, you know, because well, how many you
To
got?
accept, press 1. To send a
Yeah, we'll go a couple more minutes and appreciate the
I
time.
don't have to get it now. It's just because we can talk for hours.
I know.
If I do
Hey.
that, I can be able to do anything else today. It's already 7 in the UK.
Yeah, that time difference. Hey, caller, welcome. You're on I'm Conscious Now What with Derek and Ryan. Could you mute the live stream
Hi.
so you won't get feedback? Just mute your live stream.
I muted you.
There you go. You're live.
Okay, I can hear you. And hi, Derek. Hi, Mr. Cropper. Hi, Ryan JC. Thank you for taking my call. I can't hear either of you, but I do have a question. That when you stated, Ryan, about the free will and how some people think we have free will, and how does that play into the fact that are timelines like what other people call the vortex, and do we just manifest what already exists through our heart and how we feel versus what we're trying to do? I really love that topic about, the present moment and what we're manifesting. So if you guys could talk about that, and then I'll hang up so I can hear both of you talk.
Okay, sure
Sound
thing.
good?
Sounds excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, timelines. It's cool you said in the vortex. That's pretty much it. In the vortex. Well, then again, a vortex is something that turns, right? It's always moving. I'm freestanding, meaning I'm like in dead space where there's nothing there. But I guess when you get in the vortex, you're going to that space. You build that momentum, and then you go to that point where you're able to sit back and choose where you want to go. What was the rest of the question? That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, she was talking about the timelines and vortexes.
Yeah. So that would be I guess it would be the second stage. I mean, I've heard a lot about people saying the vortex this, the vortex that, but the information supporting their actions, they'll be told to think a certain way to get into the vortex and everything. I've always thought of that as a lot of effort. I've never quite understood what they mean by trying to get into the vortex, other than because everything they say, when I'm hearing it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The way they're interpreting it, because if I was to put everything from my perspective and I was to try and make sense out of it in a way, I know where they're trying to get, but if I was to interpret what is most commonly being said, I wouldn't call it a vortex, at all. It's more like a vacuum. It's more like to get yourself into the so-called vortex, you basically detach yourself from everyone else's bubble. And there are all these different things that are hooking you into a certain reality. And then you just detach them after you've become aware of how to detach them, and then you end up in this freestanding space. There's this floating space where you can do whatever you like, and And at that point, you're centered. And everyone says that when you're in the vortex, you're centered. In this point, yeah, you're very, very centered. Nothing's going to knock you off balance. Like I said, in this place, nothing is knocking me off balance. So that I would kind of say is kind of like getting in the vortex. Only it's like you're detaching from what's preventing the majority of people from getting into a certain plane of existence, a certain timeline itself. And getting back to your free will, I just remember you're talking about free will. Okay, everyone has one decision before you get here, before you forget everything. That can technically classify as free will across the board. So you come in, you forget your decision making, that one thing you wanted to do here, mainly. But you've also set out a bunch of experiences which may suck. At those points of time, if you try to change them, you won't. That's the illusion of you not having free will, okay? You won't be able to change it. It's fixed until you become aware enough to realize that you made that decision to be there. Then from there, you become more multidimensional, but then you gain back that original free will, and then you can jump into different timelines. So that's what is actually going on here. And I know a lot of people hate the idea of not having free will, and a lot of people have fought me on this, but guys, I'm living it, okay? I'm there. So anything other than, yeah, I get it, but you know, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say on that. I can only give you what I know in that regards.
Okay, my brother, let's real fast. I know you kind of pressed from time. You got a lot to do. You just got into the new cottage and things, but I just wanted to at least touch on this topic for today. Our topic, the 7 principles of natural universal law. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to share my screen. And Cropper, let me know when you can see my screen, if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, Crop?
I certainly can. I can see it.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is everything, ladies and gentlemen. It's been the most drastic change in my consciousness is when I just learned and understood a lot of people call them the laws of the universe, universal laws, principles, but it's very, very to understand. And I'm going to go through these super duper fast with the respect of Mr. Cropper's time. And Ryan, at any time, you can buzz in and touch on these, but this is generally the natural laws. Natural law is expressed through 7 basic underlying principles. And plus there's an 8th that I found out doing some research and just listening to other perspectives on this topic, which binds the other 7 together. These principles constitute a master key through which universal wisdom, okay, including the knowledge of the requirements to obtaining what we desire, is unveiled or decoded. This is what's been going on, ladies and gentlemen, for millions and millions and millions and millions of years. And as I said before, the reason why mainstream society or 3-density people or 1-dimensional people, which I am transferring from, I'm multidimensional now, but we were taught the 10 commandments and man-made laws, which kind of blocked us from all of this information that is just being shared so freely now. So we're going to fly through, not real quick, but we're going to go through these so you can at least get some meat and potatoes and some substance from this podcast. Okay, so the general principles of natural law is the first one we're going to go into a little bit is mentalism. Okay, and a lot of times when you don't understand what Cropper is saying, is because Ryan lives in the space of mentalism. Okay, and we're going to touch on this so you can understand. Okay, the second one is the principle of correspondence. All right, if this sounds like a foreign language, I thank you for being here. We're going to explain these principles. Okay. Correspondence. We're going to dive into that a little bit. And the principle of vibration. All right. That's another thing that Ryan and I are very, very big on. Even with the vortexes and different realities and timelines, it all deals with the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, which is one of my favorites. Okay. The principle of rhythm. Okay. The flow of things, the principle of cause and effect. And that's what Ryan was talking about earlier. Things that exist on my timeline that, might not exist on his timeline is because of this principle. And that's why I understand. It's nothing to argue about. I don't question what he's saying one bit because I understand the principle of cause and effect, which causes these things to exist on my timeline where they don't have to manifest on his timeline. And the last one is the principle of gender. Okay, the masculine and the feminine energy we're talking about. Okay, because you can look at this physical, but if you look at this physical, you'll stay physical. So let's get into these real fast, and we're gonna get into the first one, mentalism. And this was the greatest gift that I ever received in this carnation, was the understanding of mentalism. And ladies and gentlemen, what we're trying to get to you today, and what Ryan has been trying to get to you, those of you who've been following Ryan for a long time, is that all is mind. All is mind. Yeah, you're seeing us physical, but all is mind. The universe is mental. It's mental. Thoughts lead to the manifestation of things and events. Thoughts create our state of existence and the quality of our experience here on Earth. So this goes back to the beginning of this podcast when I played the audio and Ryan dissected it, and he, hey, none of this is on my timeline. Where is this coming from? And then he went to the Cassie to pull some information because he's not experiencing these things mentally. Okay. He's not experiencing these things mentally. I know some people, oh shit, Ryan, you got to know what's no, he doesn't. He doesn't, because he's not experiencing these things mentally. He's not watching the news. He's not worried about Russia and the bombs. He's not worried about the 12 families and these things. Different timelines because of mentalism. Okay. Therefore, be responsible. And this is what he was saying. That's why all of this ties in. That's why I smiled when Ryan talked about it. And we didn't talk. Ryan didn't even know I was going to talk about this today. Ryan said,
reiterate on that.
Okay.
Heimdall, Norse god, sees everything. I see it, the bombs and everything. I'm just not experiencing it, like Derek said. Okay, you don't have to be on a timeline to see others. That's where you get your clairvoyance and your dimensional beings. You can see probable reality, the crystal ball and all of that. But I guess it is a mental thing to mentally detach yourself from believing that that could be a potential future for you. And then when you believe that it's not, you jump onto another one. You're still aware of that it's going on somewhere in the multiverse. You're just not a part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So being responsible for everything that you think is, if you don't learn anything else, and this is the transition that I'm going to be responsible for my thoughts, because I now realize everything is mentalism. Everything is mentalism. Okay. Now the second one, all right, is the law of correspondence, natural laws. That which is above is like to that which is below. And you'll hear me say this a lot, that there's levels to consciousness. There's different levels to consciousness. I might be on one level of consciousness, but the levels of consciousness and the levels of vibrations are infinite. You can't cap it. Okay. So the microcosm, the very large, the totality, and the microcosm, the very small, the individual units which comprise the whole, are reflections of each other. Now I know that sounded technical, but I'm gonna just give you a little example so to kind of discern it for those of you who are like, what that microcosm, what? Give you an example of this. As above, so below. There's levels. My animals, my pets. I have dogs. I have 6 American bulldogs. We're talking about levels of the law of correspondence. They're not, they have no idea that they're not free. Why? Because they were born into a reality, a state of awareness that I fed them at a certain time. I taught them how to sit. I taught them how to just do a lot of things to incorporate them into this reality of living with humans and dogs. They don't know. They're not like wolves. They're like domesticated. Okay. Unconsciously, they don't know that they're kind of sort of like imprisoned. They think this is life. Okay. They just go with the flow. They ready to eat when I say they ready to eat. They ready to go for a walk when I say it's time for a walk. Don't bark. They don't bark. Okay. So here's the levels that I'm talking about. And this correspondence can go a lot of different ways. I'm just touching on one very, very basic to give you the idea of correspondence. This is just very, very basic for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about. We as humanity, okay, we reside on a plane of consciousness where there's higher beings above, right? That have placed us in a consciousness similar to that of the consciousness that I've placed to my pets. You understand what I'm saying? We go to work for a paycheck, right? We believe certain things. We have allowed them to take control over our thoughts and not think for ourselves. We take information in without scanning it, without knowing this information. And there's levels of consciousness. This is the 12 families, the kebab, these breakaway societies that I've been talking about. It's all structured the same way, but it's just different levels. Another example of corresponding is the stars that you see in the sky, right? We're in a dimension, but the universe acts and responds the same. I think what I'm trying to say is there's infinite levels, but the structure of it is all the same on all of the different levels. Not all of the same of form and what you see and how you vibrate, but the structure of it, the mirror, the stars up in the sky are what's on the inside of us, the trillions and trillions of cells and DNA, is inside of us. Is similar. The universe is a holographic and it's self-similar across multi-scales. And I'm sure, Crop, you might be able to take correspondence, to look this law of correspondence in a whole nother direction. You care to add to that? Did I lose you, Crop?
There I am. Now I'm back on.
Okay.
Yeah. As above, so below. I guess the macrocosm, microcosm reflections. A lot of what you're saying in the holographic, a lot of what you're saying, it's been on my mind for a while.
Yes.
Somebody just mentioned in the chat, I guess, to the macro, is it macro or micro? I don't know the definition.
Macrocosm and microcosm. I screw them up all the time. Macrocosm and microcosm.
Somebody mentioned about whether or not we covered this before. Somebody mentioned if a universe could exist inside of something as small as a cell, or even, and when we covered it last time, we covered it in an atom.
Yeah.
And when you look at I think macrocosm, that's the next layer out, right? Like,
yeah.
Is it porcelain dolls? Those Russian dolls. And how everything, each macro, micro, in the holographic and the self, everything literally is a reflection of thoughts, flow of those thoughts. each layer, even if you're not aware of it, on some level, the part of your subconscious is aware of the next one, or the macro, or the larger picture of things. You're all actually connected. But other than that, I can't really give any more information on that without losing everyone, because it does get outside of the realm of logic.
Exactly. That's why I tried to stay kind of basic, like the levels of consciousness, using the animals' awareness to human awareness, just something basic, just to give you a starting point to grasp this law of correspondence. As above, so below, and as of the cells. That was a great question, and I won't dive into that question, but absolutely there are universes inside of cells, because it's in a reflection of the holographic image that we see up in the sky. It's just not a universe. And I can't say that, but I can't just say that for sure. It's not a universe like how we would picture it being a universe, but there is consciousness and existence. It might not be in a human form. It might not be as we're looking at it and experience it now, but you better believe that inside of us, and it's been proven, that all of the things that live on the human skin that we just call it bacteria and viruses and things like that, but these are live living organisms. So absolutely inside of cells could be, who knows, other galaxies to infinity. Let's move on, because we're on correspondence. Now this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, this vibration, this is everything. This will help you to understand and discern every word really that's coming out of myself and Ryan and other people that are conscious of what's going on right now. The law of vibration. And when you get this one, everything will start to flow for you. Nothing rests. I know everything seems physical in this dimension, but everything moves, everything vibrates. And that's why it's so imperative that you be conscious of your vibration. Where are you vibrating at? Even all of the astral projection courses that Ryan teaches, he teaches you about being aware of your vibration. Your vibration, everything vibrates at the most fundamental level. The universe and everything which comprises it is pure vibration. Okay, you can't look at it as a physical thing. And I know that's kind of hard to click the light switch on, light switch off. Okay, this has to take over your mindset. You have to alleviate a lot of things that we were taught. Well, none of this makes sense. This mentalism that I'm talking about, and this pure vibration, we ourselves are manifesting ourselves or itself in different ways. The universe has no solidity. You see what I'm saying? We look at it like it's solid. We want to believe that it's solid, but it's not. And if you're limiting yourself thinking that it's solid, like this holographic dimension that we're in right now. All right. Matter is merely energy in a state of vibration. Crop, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes more sense than most people may think. Through astral projection, I've experienced all of this. This is why everyone needs to do it. This is why I said it needs to be taught in schools. Your third eye has different layers to it. You can actually blink your third eye and see atoms. You then see the nucleus in an atom. You can then shrink really small, and it just feels like everything else is getting bigger. And then you go into the atom. The nucleus, sorry, you go into the nucleus and you actually see these beings inside of the nucleus. You see an entirely different world, shape, form, and structure. Okay. When it comes to vibration, you understand in those micro levels how light is matter, in a sense. It gives form to matter. And it is the really strange thing. Okay. And it's funny because I actually wrote about this in the book. I actually broke down everything when it comes to this vibration and pretty much most of these laws of correspondences. And I said it, Derek, earlier, I'm not really quite sure what they are when it comes to how it's broken down, because again, I don't look outside of myself for information. Everything I know of, I've experienced, and I put it in the book from my perspective. So I'm glad I've already written it out before somebody mentioned this. Otherwise, it may have influenced how it's written. But the way I wrote it out is kind of like this: you're never actually looking at matter. Period. Never. You're never looking at matter. It's really strange. I'm gonna tell you why. light particles bounce off of something which is unseen. It actually exists within a different dimension. Those light particles bounce off of that unseen object and then hit the retina of your eye. And that's why you're able to see certain things. You're not actually seeing the object, you're seeing the light bouncing off of the thing that you can't see, off of the object, which then hit your eye. Now, the reason why things are certain colors, okay, things don't even have a color. This is how cool it is, okay? I'm like nerding out right now. But my red wall behind you, or let's say this Rubik's Cube, yeah, it took me a while to figure out, but this Rubik's Cube right here, light is able to absorb into whatever this thing is, which you can't see, okay? Remember, light's just bouncing off, hitting your retina of your eye. So the red spectrum of light is able to absorb into whatever structure of matter or the unseen force, which is in the unseen realm. And because of that, you're able to see this as red. It's because it's absorbing the red out of light. Okay, so it's not actually the matter itself, or whatever you're seeing isn't actually red. It's just able to absorb the red spectrum of light. And it's the same for the orange and the green and the orange and blue. Okay, so that being said, what are you touching if you're able to touch something? Well, in the dimension which collapses light, that is thought. Okay, it's literally consciousness, which pulls together matter and gives it shape and form, which is basically just nothing more than what you're perceiving. It's what you're perceiving with your senses. The space in between is actually, it's empty in a space. It's empty. It's just, it's empty, but it's not. It's just thought. It's vibration. It's light which vibrates at a certain frequency. But it's a different form of light. I tried to explain this the other day, and I did a terrible job at it. In the video, somebody said, is a room with no light darkness? Is it dark? And there is no such thing as a dark room, like, period. Even in like a pitch black room, there is still a bunch of color and light and consciousness. You're just perceiving it as a darker shade of light. And that is very hard for people to understand unless they project and they actually turn on their astral eye and see things as they actually are, you know? But yeah, that's just a brief example. It's your intent. It's the soul's desire to experience something, which a lot of people are detached from. Okay, they're making these choices internally, but they're not able to do it consciously. If they were, you'll get people warping reality, okay? Your higher mind is able to collapse your reality in a certain way so that you can experience objects. Once you're able to tap into the higher mind, you can warp objects. You can move things with your mind. I did an experiment that I showed Derek and I posted on my YouTube channel where I moved something with my mind, okay? You're more connected to the fabric of what makes up your experience. And this is when you're becoming really lucid in 3D. And then you can start playing the structure of the universe through vibration, because you'll understand that vibration is nothing more than the movement of light. And light really is a form of consciousness which is collapsed by another form of consciousness. It's in layers. And you can only see one form of consciousness, which is the light with these eyes, but you can't see the unseen form of consciousness. You can only see that form if you're in the dimension that it already exists in. Okay? And you can either do that through astral projection, or you can do that by opening your third eye and seeing reality behind this reality. Those of you who have done DMT, dimethyltryptamine, know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're sat there and you can see the reality behind this one, first you'll see bright colors, and then you'll see like sacred geometry. And then it will just turn into, well, the structure of vibration, the structure of consciousness, which collapses this reality. Every dimension plays a role in the formation of its neighboring dimension. Take out one, the whole thing will fall. And then that's pretty much where it's at.
That's deep. Great content. Great content. One of my favorite in 3D. And this is when I really started to get this. Polarity. And this has saved me from so many boxes and debates and hates and racism and all of the things that we experience every day in 3D, the universal law of polarity. Everything, ladies and gentlemen, is dual. Okay. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. All right. So just knowing just that first part, just knowing that everything in these dimensions have its opposites. One can't exist without the other. And what's normally going on is we're attaching emotion to one side and somebody's attaching emotion to the other side. And this is how all of these debates and elections and this 3D reality is just infested with the law of polarity. Opposites. Now, this is going to be the one that's going to be hard to swallow, right? Opposites are identical in nature, but difference in degree. I'll give you an example of this, which helped me. You take fire, you take the stove, right? You turn on that fire, you're boiling water, right? The longer that fire stays on the water, right, gets warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer until it gets hot and heat. But cold and hot are one and the same on the same line, separated by degrees, or what we call distance. But there can't be cold without hot, and it can't be hot without cold. Okay, extremes meet. All extremes meet, and this is the key to staying in the middle. And this is why I like to stay in the middle of the base. It's not that I don't have the cojones to take a side. It's just I understand that extremes meet, and one can't exist without the other. I don't have to choose a side. I could stay in the middle and just observe through my consciousness. And this saves me from my vibrations going all crazy in 3D. Are you Baptist? Are you Catholic? Are you Muslim? Are you black? Are you gay? It's all polarity. Okay. All paradoxes may be reconciled. Crop, you want to throw something on this polarity thing?
I'm going to be honest with you. I was thinking about something whilst you were saying that. You said it so fast, it went over my head.
It's cool, bro. The polarity is simple, ladies and gentlemen. One cannot resist without the other. You're just choosing a side. You're attaching emotion to things that you like to vibrate in, where other individuals, other souls are attaching emotions to the opposite side. You understand? Opposing teams, football teams, you got two sides. That's how this three-dimensional plane that we're on is being driven and dominated by polarity. And we're voting against the other. This is, black, white. You understand what I'm saying? Tall, short, hot, cold, night, day. This is the law of polarity. And when you understand this is a natural law, you won't feed into the bull kakanana too much. You'll just, that's a law. One can't exist without the other. They're one and the same. I don't have to choose a side. You'll understand this more, and you'll release some of that tension when someone disagrees with something that you've attached a lot of emotion to. You will allow them to have their own opinion without punching them in the face, or I'm not going to be your friend because you believe this or you're that. It's polarity. It's just polarity, the law of polarity.
Another thing to add to that, you have either end of the spectrum of polarity, which is just vibration. And right or wrong is a perception. That doesn't exist. There's just, well, then again, right and wrong does exist, but it's not in the way most people think. It does. Well, it is, but it's not. It's really, now you're getting into complicated stuff. When somebody, see if I can break it down, wants to experience something, I'm gonna have a very hard time doing this. I don't think it's gonna happen. I'll have to sit on this. I understand it, but it's hard to put in the words which people understand. It's very, because there are different levels to right or wrong, and when it comes to polarity, there are the two main ones, and then there's this little other polarity in between, and then there is right or wrong. But to the person who's in the right, it's like, if you want to go here, dang it, something happens to a person which cancels out the notion of right or wrong. That's the best I'm going to be able to describe it without premeditating and creating it in a certain way.
Could it be agendas? Strong about agendas?
If someone has an agenda and they don't believe they're in the wrong, then all you're getting there is conflict between the person who sees them as wrong, but the other person has flipped the script, so to say. They don't perceive their actions as being wrong, so you see conflict there. Mm-hmm. And you can call out, I guess, the friction that comes from such a perception, but it is very, very complicated.
It gets complex.
It does. It gets very complex.
And that's what I was saying. This is why this polarity got a little echo. Testing. This is why this polarity, this law of polarity, has enslaved us as a society, because this goes deep. This polarity thing goes deep. And I'm telling you, most of the disagreements, most of the debates, most of the arguments, most of the fights, they say two things that you should never discuss. You guys heard this. Religion and politics, polarities. You understand? So once you understand this law, that's why I'm able to let people come to my door who are Christians and Muslims and all of these different religions, because I understand, excuse me, that this polarity law, it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm totally transparent to the law of polarity. I don't get involved in it. I've diffused all of the emotion and energy from people who don't agree or share the same timelines like we're talking about today that I do. I understand that everyone doesn't have to be on the same freaking timeline that I'm on. I understand that all is mentalism. I understand these things, and this is why I thought it was imperative to get these slides, just so not that you, ladies and gentlemen, have to take us word for word, but you can kind of expand your consciousness on what we're introducing here. These laws, I like to say laws, okay, natural laws. Nothing gets around these natural laws. This is far more, what's the word I want to use? Far more vast than the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments were more three-dimensional when you really read them now. Don't kill, don't steal, don't bear false witness. We're talking about natural laws that expand through all of the universe. Okay, let's move on, because we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. Here's another one. Rhythm. Everything flows, ladies and gentlemen. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. Nothing stands still. Goes back to that vibration. And all things rise and fall. Okay? The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the string to the left. Rhythm compensates. And I'm just going to give you an example of this. I'm going to break it down real simple so you can understand, because this can get real complex too. You could be on top one day, right? And you can be on the bottom the next day, all right? You don't have to freak out because of this rhythm. You guys understand what I'm saying? You can have $10,000 one day, right? And the next day you could have zero. And most people, if you don't understand rhythm and this swing, this rhythm of the universe, right? You don't freak out. You just keep going, because you know, right? All things rise and fall. It's just the way it is in the universe. You have the United States was once the biggest country on the planet Earth. You understand what I'm saying? Everything rises and falls. And I watch so many people, including myself. And in no way am I saying I'm this perfect person now. No, I'm taking all of this in with you guys. I'm gradually raising my consciousness. I understand that, yeah, in 2011, I might have grossed a lot of money. And in 2016, it seems like in consciousness that I'm missing something. No. I'm starting to understand the rhythm. And the more you understand this law of rhythm, you can kind of go with the rhythm. Another example, it's very, very hard. Those of you who are swimmers, it's so hard to swim upstream, isn't it? It's hard. It could be done now, but it's very hard to swim upstream. It's more easier to swim with the flow of the current. And a lot of us, including myself, right? We were swimming upstream in life because we didn't understand this law of rhythm. We were going against the natural rhythm of the universe. And that's when our lives get bumpy and rocky and everything seems like it's going wrong. And we get into the why me and the pity parties because we don't understand. They didn't teach us these laws of nature, the laws of the universe. And they've been using, when I say they, someone asked me a question, Derek, who do you mean by they? I'm talking about conscious, high level awareness, breakaway societies, agendas that are higher in vibration and higher in consciousness than we are right now. Okay. They know these laws. They know all of this that we're talking about today. They know we're infinite. We exist on all of these different timelines. They understand mentalism. Physical is folly to them probably now. Physical is like them playing a freaking video game probably now. It's just a game. I'm just serious. Ryan, you want to add anything to rhythm?
After I reiterate previous statement, I just thought about a way of discussing how right or wrong plays in with the soul. Basically, if the soul, part of you that you're not aware of, the higher mind wants to experience a lower vibration or another vibration, any other vibration, matter of fact, then it will do so if in this third dimension, it's having to act out a so-called wrong act that can be perceived as wrong by many other people. But to the soul, it's the right thing to do to shift into a different frequency, you see, and therefore from the soul's perspective, it's only in the right. But to a human's perspective, it's in the wrong. Now, why is it in the wrong from another person's perspective? Well, that other person hasn't set out in its life plan an experience that you're doing. Or in other words, another person doesn't want to do what you're doing, okay? So they would say that what you're doing is wrong because it doesn't quite line up with the way things should be done based on that person's logic, based on what that person wants to experience. And that's where you get the discord. You get one person wanting to go one way into one direction. So all it knows is anything that it's deciding is right, right? But then you got this other person, this other soul, who wants to go in the opposite direction. So that's all you're getting there. You're getting that perspective clash.
Mm-hmm.
Your way is wrong because it has to be done this way. And where that ego is going wrong is that ego thinks that everyone else has to have the same belief system of what's right and wrong in order to have a similar experience. That ego is not aware that everyone has their own separate experiences in life. Okay, that is the best way I can explain it. I hope it made sense. But you were talking about rhythm, right? Rhythm literally deals with the flow of circumstances in life. And it deals with you not being in resistance to anything that comes up, trying to see why it is that you're in a certain situation. And again, it goes into playing with polarity and right or wrong. If you're thinking you're in the wrong place right now, you're wrong in thinking that, because the reason why you're there is because it's been set up by your higher mind that doesn't judge what's wrong and what's right. It's put you there for a reason. So that's the right reason as to why you're supposed to be there. There's only, in that case, correct, right? There's only a path there. But again, from a higher perspective mind, all soul thinks is going on is you're moving from one vibration to another. That is it. It's that movement. It's that rhythm. The right or wrong deals with a much lower density way of thinking in 3D. So it's kind of cool because it's like when I meditate, I go into different levels of my mind where I'm thinking completely differently. I'm perceiving things completely different. And in turn, I call that thinking, contemplation. I'm as a unit, right? As one piece thinks, it then bleeds into the other piece to better figure out something else. The universe, reality, consciousness as a whole does the exact same thing. You see, a part of you who is an egoic mind, the shadow of the soul, will have a human perspective, but then it could actually transform into its higher self and realize that, oh, but this is how I actually meant to say it. Oh, but I said it this way because that's the only thing that made sense to me during that experience, that third dimensional experience, you see. So that would be the soul thinking. And now can you imagine if everybody is dying and moving into other dimensions, becoming peaking in awareness and then dropping in awareness? What you're getting is a giant brain of dots of consciousnesses which are interacting with each other. Some bits are more unconscious than the other. And then what you're getting overall is a brain that is thinking. A human, not human, but a being in being, which is thinking in unconscious states. You know, give this a thought. What if there's a part of you inside your head right now that is actually asleep and dreaming and in entirely different existence, right?
Right,
Now just scale out, and you've got all these different parts of you having these little tiny experiences. But that's pretty much what I wanted to say, especially in accords to rhythm. It's just that flow of thinking also on a macrocosm perspective, the multidimensional perspective, the train of thought, the train of movement, and the train of being, in a sense.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Great. Yeah. Let's move on. All right, so we got that echo. Brian, could you mute? Okay, so here's one of the ones that most of us, a lot of us are really caught in. So I know Ryan's gonna have fun with this one. I sure do every single day. The law of cause and effect. And we're still talking about this mentalism. Yeah, it's physical. And I'm gonna really go a little deeper into this cause and effect, because this is where humanity right now, we're enslaved on the effect of things. So let's break this down just a little bit. Every cause or every thought, you guys see, it's two different levels, has its effect. And every effect has its cause. Everything, ladies and gentlemen, everything happens according to law. That's why I've been catching myself saying, I hope, or that's why I'm catching that now. It ain't no hope. Everything that happens, everything that manifests happens according to this universal or natural law. Chance is but a name for law, not even freaking recognized. These are things that we've made up. It could be a chance. No, everything that is. Okay. There are many planes of causation, but nothing. And that's what Ryan was describing prior to this cause and effect. And that's why I was smiling. There's infinite planes of causation. Okay. But nothing escapes the law. All right. Example of that. So many times we as just mortal beings, when we're really caught up in this human form, this flesh, we'll look at somebody else that quote unquote is a mobster, right? Loads of money, anything the physical mind could think of or conceive. We see these people have all of these materialized things and wealth. And then we look over on our plate and we're struggling. Lights cut off, no water. You understand what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen? And we just feel like, how can bad people, which we're getting back into polarity, all of this is going to start making sense to you, right? It's going to free you from all of these boxes. How can bad people have so much on earth and I'm a Christian and we're struggling just to have food? Okay. The law, you might think at this moment, right, that this cause and effect from this monster, all of this pain and all of these different vibrations that this monster is causing, right? Just because it's not manifesting instantly like we think it should, right? Nothing, ladies and gentlemen, escapes the law, right? It's just not his time for this cause and effect. There's like a delay in this. Okay, and I'm gonna go into this a little deeper. The planes of effect. So you got the physical world, which me and Ryan were talking about. This physical holographic world, which Ryan broke down. Nothing is physical, but so you understand this in your ego or mental mind. Let's just say the physical, the planes of effects in the physical world. This is where manifested realities have formed due to their underlying causes. This is where thought, mentalism, right, takes place as form. The plane of effects constitutes that which has already occurred. And on the previous, I want you guys to understand why I think the way I think. That's why I say we're always living in the past. If you want to just measure things by time, everything that you see around your house right now is in the past. You've already thought about it. It's already manifest in form. This is this law of cause and effect. And you got to grasp this. So many times we think that we're in the present moment, right? We've been deceived kind of, sort of, to think that the present moment is like this physical thing. But everything that the plane of effects constitutes, which has already occurred, as such, no power to change that effect. So what I'm trying to say is things that you see right now, there's nothing that you can do about it. The situation that you're in right now, that you're going through right at this moment, it can't be changed once it manifests in the physical. Okay? Nothing. Because that which has already occurred cannot unoccur. It has become that which is what they call truth, manifesting before your eyes. Okay? Human consciousness seems to be trapped upon the plane of effects. We're seeing the cause, right? We're seeing the effects of our cause, the effects of our thoughts in this dimension is what I'm trying to say. We're seeing the afterbirth of our thoughts, okay? Meaning that humanity as a whole remains ignorant to the underlying causes which they themselves or us ourselves set into motion. So what Ryan was saying at the beginning of this podcast, playing the news, talking about the wars, talking about the bombs, talking about these parallel realities, right? This is great meat and potatoes today, right? Lead to self-inflicted suffering, self-inflicted things that we believe, things that we allow in our consciousness, in our lives, all right? This is the physical world. This is where we are physical, but now I can flip it a little bit. And I'll let Ryan touch on this too. Now, the mental world, this mentalism, this is where Ryan is telling us he spends a lot of his consciousness, a lot of his awareness is in his mental world. He's detached from this physical world. And this is a process. He was talking to me earlier, man, I want to do this. He said, D, it's a process, man. You're all right. It's a process. It took me years to get to where I am right now. It's a process, right? A lot of us think that the physical world is the only world that exists. We might say, oh, no, I believe, but no. We're going to get into it a little more in detail. I know we've pressed for time, but here's the mental world. This is where causes are set into motion prior to manifesting as form realities. This mental world, these thoughts, this is where all of the change takes place. The change has to take place mentally before it's going to manifest physically in your life. You have to change the way you think, your perception of everything, reality, before this physical plane that we're trapped in. That's why I say we're trapped. We're trapped physical because we don't understand mentally. The plane of causality constitutes the causal factors, the why we're in the predicament we're in right now, which underline and precedes all manifested things and events. Okay. Now here's the meat. All power to affect change lies on this plane. The mentalism, human consciousness. We must move, ladies and gentlemen, from the plane of effects, which I'll translate, affects our circumstances. What we're seeing with Ryan was talking about what we see with our eyes, which is merely nothing, okay, to the plane of causality. In order for human beings to understand the causal factors of the conditions which we are collectively manifesting in our lives from thoughts. Only then, and this is what's taking place now, will humanity be able to co-create these parallel realities that Ryan talks about, that I'm experiencing. I'm getting glimpses of it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm on my way. I get glimpses. I got realities, as I told you before, that I could sit in, that all is well. That all is well. I'm totally balanced. I'm totally centered. I'm totally at peace. Okay? On a conscious level rather than an unconscious realities. Now, Ryan, I know you want to add something to this.
Yeah. Just, I got to go now, but I'll just say one little thing.
Okay.
Basically karma. Basically, that's pretty much it. Those of you who understand karma understand the laws of cause and effect.
Yes.
It's very deep, but it's only something that happens. Well, then again, no, that's not true. Cause and effect in different realms. Different realms have cause and effect. Mental realm, a cause in certain meditation, the way of thinking will trigger another way of thinking, which will change your perception of your reality. You then act as another realm, acting in 3D cause. Whatever you do has an effect. When it comes to manifestation, a lot of things are done like this. Problem is, a lot of people out there want everything done now because they're in this consumer-based mentality where they're really lazy and they don't want to cause any sort of change in 3D physically. They want to just sit there, deal with the other levels, and just expect things to show up. That only gets you so far. It's just the truth of the matter. Honestly, you're here to cause and experience the effect. That's why you're in 3D. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here living your life. You know, would you want to get on your bike and go outside and experience something? Cause you getting on your bike, affect you experiencing nature while you're here? Or do you just want to sit there and experience nature come to you, which is like this VR thing you're getting nowadays? You know, they're literally taking away your experience and experiencing it with something else. Now, you probably signed up for VR. It's probably a part of your life plan, and that's fine. And in that sense, I don't really have anything negative to say about it. But in relation to cause and effect, really, if you're sat there and you don't want to get up and take action, that's just you being in resistance to what you naturally are, which is somebody who's experiencing life. You're resisting your life purpose, and that's why it feels so bad. That's why you get depressed, you know? Whenever you find yourself not wanting to do anything, just know that you not doing anything is you basically ignoring your life purpose. And that should be enough cause for you to get up, you know? Anyway, Derek, I'm gonna have to say bye to you and everyone else in the chat. It's 8 o'clock now. I'm gonna have to get back to certain things. It's been fun. You know,
hey man, we appreciate you, brother. We appreciate it. We're gonna close out in just a minute. We love you, Crop. Peace, brother.
Peace.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, the last universal law. I cut the slide off because we kind of pushing it. I told you we had a lot of jam-packed information that we want to get out there to you, and you can see it coming from two perspectives, two different levels of vibration. You know, the higher vibration of Cropper and the lower vibrations that I put out, and you can take the different vibrations and mold it into your own consciousness and perspective of what we're going through. The last is gender, the gender and gender. Right now in 2016, this law of gender, there's one thing that you can't change. Okay. We are all free will beings. This is true. And they try to get us to not believe that we have free will. We have free will. Okay. This hell thing is just we're in hell on earth. Some of the situations that we go through and experiencing this what's the word I want to use? Being cut off from oneness, being cut off from source. It's like being in hell once you experience it. And when you experience this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Being centered in oneness with everything. But gender, and I'm going to use an example of gender that a lot of people don't like to go there, but I'm going to go there. You guys know me. Homosexuality, this gay thing, right? It falls under the law of cause and effect. Okay, it really does. Now, you have free will to be and explore and experience everything that you want to experience in this plane. It's your free will. No one can stop you from being who you are or or the way you want to experience, the way you want to share your sexual energy, your energy. Okay, but you have to be aware of cause and effect. Remember, for every cause, there's an effect. And gender was put into place for creation, co-creating. Okay. And I have a lot of, you guys heard my story. My first sexual experience was with a man when I was 5 years old. So I understand these things, right? You're not going to burn in hell because you're sharing sexual energy with the same sex, but you have to understand the laws of cause and effect. Okay. And rhythm and that procreation. Two males cannot procreate outside of the laboratory, right? Cloning and stuff like that. But you guys know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Two males cannot procreate. You understand what I'm saying? You need that gender. You need that masculine and feminine energy. This is just nature. This is not, I'm not making this up. You guys aren't making this up. You know what I mean? We love you as you are, but just know that procreation part, there always has to be a masculine and a feminine energy to procreate, to create, just like the seeds in the field. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so a lot of people get caught up on this. Oh, you're gay, so you're get into the polarity. I'm not, I'm straight. You ever notice people ask you, what are you? Are you bi? Are you straight? Are you? It's all of these categories and boxes that separates. Understand this, people, and we're going to close this out. We all were created. If you're watching this live broadcast right now, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you was aware of this or not, you were created from masculine and feminine energy. All right. Your mom was the feminine energy and your pops was the masculine energy. And some of us just choose to turn our awareness towards the masculine, right? Via male or female. And some of us choose to turn our awareness, our will, and our desire to the feminine energy, which we all have. Okay, a lot of people say in these times that we're in, the rhythm and the vibration of Mother Earth is off, is offset. I can see that as a perspective, but this is the gender. The divine presence of all has one agenda, which I'm learning. It's creation, expression, and we are all an expression of that divine presence of everything, which everything we talked about today resides in. That's what I call God, the divine presence of all, what we all exist in. We exist in the mind and the mentalism of all. And that's that never-ending, multi-dimensional, infinite universe that is not in the brain, but in your consciousness. This has been a jam-packed event here today. I appreciate everybody showing up. And I want you to join us every Wednesday and Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you hit the like button. We're going to actually take this video here from this channel and we're going to upload it to the I'm Conscious Now What channel. And we're going to continue to give you this information. You might not agree with everything, but it's enough information where you'll be able to make that decision of consciousness in your awareness. Some you'll take, some you won't. That's what we're doing here. Know that we love you. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the support. We need the support. Me and Cropper's been talking about starting our own social media platform. Okay. Crop's been real busy, but we're going to get behind the scenes and do some more talking now that he's situated. And we just need support. If you've been having a problem centering, right? If you've been having a problem meditating, I know a young lady called and she felt energy from her head down to her feet and it scared her. If you've been having this problem, I've created a product. It's called I Am Self. It's a guided meditation. The link is right up under this live stream where I take you by the hand and I walk you step by step in a guided, rhythmic breathing meditation from A all the way to Z. I've been getting great love from this. A lot of comments, a lot of thank yous. It's a very, very well out planned, high energy meditation, taking you from that delta to that theta in mind, alpha, I'm sorry, in mind, which puts you in that trance to where you can start experiencing non-physical reality. So yeah, all proceeds from this, I've created this process, this product, just to kind of help us raise funds for the monetary things that we need to get the I'm Conscious Now What.com going, right? And to get these things in place where we can center our platform around us, where we're in control of our videos, we're in control of our own domains. Nobody can shut us down. Okay. So yeah, check out that product. I Am Self, that meditation. And we're going to see you, ladies and gentlemen, Sunday. We're going to have another great show. We're going to have more great content. We love you. We thank you for being here today. And I'll see you on the next broadcast. We love you greatly. Peace.
I'm conscious.
Now what?
What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Yeah. Hold it. What you talking about, doctor?